Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
And we're going to get right into the actual intraday modes. And the first thing is, let's just go ahead and close all this stuff out so that we can talk about how intraday mode can work. Perfect. So the first thing is intraday mode only is going to be trading. Let me make this come to our screen here. Hold on full screen. Bring this over. Oh, there we go. Cool. So the first thing to understand about the two different intraday modes is you have instant entry strategy and you have your skip a level strategy. A lot of people are big fans of the skip a level strategy, including myself, but instant entry strategy can work well as well. It's a 0.01 per $3,000 balance. So if you have less than $3,000, you should only use one pair on 1K, two pairs on 2K, or three pairs on 3K. And you're going to choose between these 6 pairs down here on which pairs you want to run. And we determine these pairs by going through the average daily range and a lot of forex volatility, back testing and forward testing to see what pairs respect the instant entry and skip a level strategy typically the best the majority of the time. And these were the pairs that we came to the conclusion we're actually doing that. So then with skip a level, how it works is you would open all these 6 pairs and then you would only allow on a 1K balance, 3 max pairs to trade. And, even below 1K, 1 to 2, $500 balance 1, and it's still high risk. And, we'll talk about the risk a little bit today as well. Now, let's say you wanted to go ahead and get set up with the instant entry strategy. What we'd do is we'd come over here to the VPS. We're going to right click the market watch window. We're going to hit hide all. We're going to hide all the symbols. And then we're going to just go in here, Euro USD, and you don't want the mini ones. USD. No, I don't want the mini one. Go away, mini. There we go. Make sure you are not using the mini ones. You do not want the mini. CAD. All right, now once you have all of the pairs open, you can just go ahead and, chart window as normal, chart window, chart window, chart window, chart window. And once you have all those pairs open, the last thing is you're going to add your great old gold pair. And we'll chart window. And then what you would do is you would simply install the GearBox manager onto this. You're going to go to common, make sure you're allowing DLL imports, all that good stuff. And then the manager is going to come over here and it's going to show you your strategies. And based on your settings and your risk, you're going to go ahead and input those into your manager based on the inputs and the rules we said. So if your balance was, say, $2,000, okay, well, you're still going to go with 0.01. If your balance is $3,000, you're still going to go with a 0.01. Now, if your balance is, say, $6,000, okay, you go up to a 0.02, right? Sorry about that. It seems that the Wi-Fi went down where we are, so I connected to my hotspot. So I'm gonna attempt to finish this call here from the hotspot here. All right. So we were saying, let's say you had a 6K balance here, you'd put 0.02, right? Because you're going 0.01 per 3K. Now, you set your settings, you'd hit OK. And again, you're just going to be able to go here to your manager and choose what strategy you want to apply. So in this case, we're going to apply the skip a level strategy. And you'll see that it's loaded successfully. This account actually isn't logged into an account right now, so you won't expect this to actually stick. You guys also may be seeing GearBox 1.0 here, and that's because there's some new things coming. Some new things that I know some people have been pretty excited about. So forbid opening trades of correlating pairs. I'm not sure if anybody sees this setting here. This is a big one. The correlation filter is in place. We're just finalizing some final details to get it launched. But if you guys have been waiting for the correlation filter, you'll now see GearBox is at version 1.0. So it's going to be really exciting. We're very pumped about that. But this is how you set up skip a level. I'm going to read the Q&A here. Ted Manson, Tyler, I have a problem distinguishing the fundamental difference between ghost TP and double TP. When you say ghost TP is set by TP taking into consideration all the ghost trades in the notepad, does that subject its TP to be lowered and more conservative than double TP? Double TP depends on where you enter the trade. So if you're using instant entry or intraday strategy, then yes, double TP is most likely going to have the largest take profit. If you're using precision modes, then ghost plus real is typically going to have the largest take profits, Ted. So it depends on what strategy you're using and where you're entering the trade. Double TP goes for 60 pips on the first entry, real goes for 30 pips, and then ghost plus real goes for whatever it needs to balance out the ghost trade drawdown plus the real trade drawdown. Paulo, the gearbox level simulation in pips is supposed to be calculation for one pair. That is correct. Paulo said, I saw last week that some of your accounts, the time frame was set to H4. Is the result of different having H4, H1, or daily one? Absolutely, Paulo. Huge difference. You know, the lower time frame, the more risky, as it's not going to have an accurate of an entry. JC Liqueur, I have a 2K account. I put Euro JPY at instant entry and rest of my pairs on Sniper doing 2 max pairs. My Euro JPY is gear 2, but the TP is above all the pairs. I'm in cells. My question is, why is it take closing out trades negative? It's because I switched Euro JPY back to Sniper when I saw heavy drawdown. I realized why am I back? Yeah, that would be why if you switched back to Sniper. That would definitely be why, JC. Where is the trailing weekly goal set? The weekly goal is off by default, brother. By default, it's off. If you want to change it, you can change the weekly goals. I mean, you see it's at 100% and trailing by 50. I mean, it's pretty much off. It's not, you're never going to have 100% week and then trail by 50, at least not with these settings. Unfortunately, when I'm maximizing the chart, the level and lot size are covered. Can you fix that? That I can't fix, Paulo. That's just the chart, brother. If you look at it in your mobile MT4, it's typically best to look at your charts elsewhere outside of MT4. Really, this is just to let the software run. If you actually want to look at charts and mark them up and stuff, I'd get TradingView or use your phone. Came from Einstein with over 50% DD. Do I put 100% risk? By default, it is at 100% risk, brother. If you're switching from Einstein, you'll see the equity protector and max risk is by default set at 100%. So no adjustment needed there. The only adjustment you might want to make if you're in large drawdown is, remember, GearBox has a balance protection at 25%, which means that at 25% drawdown, it's not going to take another trade. So if you're in over 25% drawdown, GearBox is just monitoring your trades, but it can't make any decisions until it has less than 25% drawdown, which is a safety feature. Hey, Tyler, we are able to enter into a higher gear level before it's set to come into play. For instance, if we're only 15 pips away or so, but I wanted to enter straight away. You mean the enter now button, Maximilian? Yeah, at some point the enter now button is going to come, but the correlation filter was top priority, so that's where we've been focused on. But yeah, we do plan to add an enter now button so people can enter trades, if they see they're close to an entry and don't want to wait any longer. All right. Not seeing many more questions in regards to the instant entry strategy. I know there were some phenomenal results this week. Many people are getting with the instant entry strategy. So we are going to go ahead and get right into Forex Factory so that we can take a look at the news ahead. If I was to manually take a trade, would that negatively affect GearBox? Well, it won't affect GearBox, but will it affect your margin? Will it affect your possible weekly goal or your equity protector? Yes, GearBox doesn't know how to differentiate between manual trades and GearBox in the sense of when it comes to weekly goals and equity protectors. So you'd have to make sure in balance protection as well, that anything that's affected by account equity balance is modified to account for the manual trades you're taking. And then second off, I always would recommend people manually trade on a separate account than Gearbox, just put some more money in a separate broker account. Use that one for manually trading. From someone who has always manually traded. And I just don't like mixing manual and EA, because if you get yourself into a bad day, now you get your EA account into a bad day. Now you're risking all your capital because you wanted to manually trade when you could have just done it on a separate account and kept your EA account safe. So that's my 2 cents on manually trading on the same account. Let's go ahead and apply settings here. So we look at the dates here, we applied the settings for the week, and what do you know, this week is a very boring week. A lot of yellow folder, a lot of orange folder news. This actually looks like it'd be a possible great week for intraday modes. All you have is AUD employment and unemployment change, which, as we know, we aren't really touching any AUD pairs besides AUD NZD here in our skip a level or instant entry strategy. And then down here we got some Euro stuff. We got German flash manufacturing PMI. But it looks like a really relatively calm week in the news world. Great question here. I see from Carmen. She said, if coming from Einstein, do I need to let all my Einstein trades close out before running Gearbox and other pairs? No, Carmen, you don't, because of the max pairs feature. Say you wanted to switch to precision modes in Gearbox, you could scan all 25 pairs, set your max pairs trading to 3, and then as those Einstein ones close out, it'll be able to open other pairs with the other strategies. Michael, how does Gearbox decide which pair to open a trade on if it has an open slot? Many pairs could have passed their entry criteria. Michael, if they passed their entry criteria, they would have had trades on them. So when you're at the question you're asking, I don't think you're understanding how Gearbox works. So let's talk about it again. All right, there's a visual display on every chart here that tells you what gear entry each pair is on. So if we were just take a look at any of these charts, let's say Euro GBP, all right, you can see it's in a buy 3. Well, a buy 3 isn't where it needs to go to get an entry. It's after Wednesday. It's entering gears above 6. So we're looking for a gear 7 trade here. We're not even halfway to our entry. So anytime you have a question about how does it determine, just go look at your UI. You can see exactly where the trade is and then see where it needs to go to get an entry. All right, NZD USD is in the sell level too. Okay, well, I don't enter NZD USD until, in this case, on this account, after Thursday 5. I'm waiting for a gear 6 entry on this account. I mean, that's a really precise entry. But yeah, I'm waiting for a large move. So, all the entries are going to be different depending on what strategies you're using, what programs you have, programmed in. But the point of the matter is that, yes, you can visually go display and see exactly why you're not in a trade. So hopefully that answers your question, Michael. Paulo, it is not possible to see which strategy it is on. You would have to just compare their entries to the gear manager chart. And that typically is how I would know any time an account's on any entry. You take a look at a currency pair, look at the settings it has for its gears above, and that tells you exactly which strategy it's running. If you change the strategy, do you have to reboot the VPS or just click on the strategy button? Awesome. Well, then if you want to do that, or you don't need to do that, what you should do when you change the strategy is you should remove all and then reapply. That's the safest way to do it to make sure all the charts always get the right settings. Michael, I'm not sure I understand what your question. I'm limiting to 2 pairs at any one time. Well, yes, if your balance only allows you to trade 2 pairs at once, then again, if you're in those 2 pairs already and there's other pairs that get entries, it can't enter those because you're limiting your max pairs. So it's just taking the 2 pairs that hit their entry first out of all the ones it's scanning. When does GearBox decide to stop placing trades in a sequence? Well, that's based on your settings as well, JC. So if you come over to your settings and we go inside GearBox, you'll see looking at GBP JPY, we're actually getting closer to an entry. We're entering on a gear 8 entry. Really precise, but we're on 5 already. So we're getting there. This account has some higher settings. They're not normal program settings, but the point is, how does it decide to stop placing trades in a sequence? Well, you'll see here, we're entering on gears above 7 after Thursday. Well, that's a gear 8. And max number of gears is 12, which is 11. So in this case, we're saying allow you to enter 8, 9, and 11. So in this case, GBP JPY could enter 3 trades before it would stop taking trades in that sequence. The only other reason it would stop taking trades in that sequence is if you hit your balance protection. Now, same concept here. This account has entry to level 7 and max number of gears at 12. Well, in this case, it can enter 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So that one could enter 5 trades on GBP CHF. So it's all based in the settings, right? Can I proceed with GearBox the same strategy as Einstein? Do I put the gears above -1? Fernando, if you want to use the same Einstein strategy, you're just going to run the 3 pairs you were using and click the instant entry button. And you could change your lot size in the manager, as well of any other risk settings. If you want to change your balance protection, your drawdown, your stop loss, anything like that, you can go ahead and change all that stuff. But yeah, you would just use the instant entry strategy, which would be -1 and -1 for the gears above. That is correct. Why is the lot size per account balance so low for intraday? The risk, maximizing the risk. That's why. Because if you used a higher lot size, you're likely going to lose all your money because you're getting into the market sooner, which means you're taking on more risk sooner than, say, precision modes, which are waiting for much later entries into the market to deploy lot sizes, which means that you can afford to enter larger lot sizes because you are skipping all of the drawdown. Whereas with instant entry mode, you're not skipping any risk, so you need to decrease your risk. But I'm not seeing any more questions here for the morning. So, it looks like I said a beautiful week ahead for the intraday strategy. Very little red folder news ahead. I think this would actually be a phenomenal week for an instant entry strategy or or even skip a level strategy, and using the intraday modes, just because there's not a lot of red folder news. And typically red folder news is what you need for precision mode to really get some entries and some volatility. Do I believe that this can also be a great week for precision modes? Absolutely. Do I believe that it could also be a slower week for precision modes for users that, are on sniper or super sniper? Absolutely. They may not see a trade. Do I believe that swing settings will get trades this week? Yes, I do. But I believe that sniper and super are going to be very limited. So if you're using precision modes, maybe you're on swing this week. If you are using intraday settings, make sure you have your risk management settings in place. And other than that, On a $4,000 account, was the max pairs I should be trading? Carmen, 3 is always the max pairs you should be trading. Doesn't matter if your balance goes to 1 million. I'm not a big fan of increasing max pairs. So if if it enters level 8, the range between pips is much larger to get to 9. So basically I would lower the range to get more trades on those higher levels. No, JC, you wouldn't do that. I mean, if you wanted to do that, you could, but you would just not touch it. You would just let it enter 8. And if it enters 9, it enters 9. If it doesn't, then 8 swings and makes profit. But yeah, I mean, you could do that if you wanted to, sure. I wouldn't do that. But with that being said, everybody, thank you guys so much for tuning in to our intraday call. As always, I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. And I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your Thursday and we finish out this trading week strong.